The first thing Tomas heard was laughter. Not human laughter. Not anything warm or joyful. It rolled through the burning streets like grinding metal dragged across bone. He lay wedged beneath the collapsed frame of a transit tram, lungs raw from smoke. Shangxi 3's skyline, once a lacework of glass towers and solar sails, had become a jagged silhouette against a sky lit by orbital fire. The air tasted like melted wiring and scorched meat. Heavy footsteps crunched over debris nearby. Tomas pressed a hand over his mouth. He had learned quickly, don't run, don't cry, don't move. Through a gap in the wreckage he saw them. The Drakari. Tall, armored forms moving with deliberate leisure. Their bioengineered plating glistened like wet obsidian, ribbed with faint crimson veins that pulsed in rhythm. Their elongated helmets tapered backward into horned crests. In their hands, curved weapons that shimmered with a heat haze. One of them nudged a fallen colonist with its blade, turning the body as if examining merchandise. Another emitted that awful clicking chuckle. A scream cut short somewhere down the avenue. Tomas's fingers tightened around the small recorder in his palm. His mother had shoved it at him when the sirens began. If anything happens, she'd said, kneeling so their eyes were level, you tell someone. You make sure someone knows. He lifted the recorder to his lips. My name is Tomas Ilyanov, he whispered. They're here. They're not soldiers. They're hunting us. A shadow fell across the tram's twisted frame. The laughter stopped. Tomas held his breath. A clawed hand gripped the metal beam above him and bent it upward as though it were soft clay. Red eyes stared down. Commander Alara Voss killed the recording. Silence settled over the briefing chamber aboard the HSS Vindicator. No one spoke. The room was narrow, functional, holographic displays floating above a central table, walls humming with the quiet pulse of a cloaking field generator. Outside the reinforced viewport, the stars drifted in cold indifference. That was 8 hours ago, said Sol, the ship's AI. Its voice emerged from hidden emitters, calm and precise. Signal terminated abruptly. Thermal imaging confirms urban annihilation patterns consistent with prior Drakari hunts. Alara remained standing at the head of the table. 36 years old, lean from a lifetime in gravity wells and combat rigs, dark hair pulled tight at the nape of her neck. Her expression did not change easily anymore. Shangxi 3 had no military presence, Engineer Reza muttered. Agricultural colony. 200,000 civilians. They didn't resist, Corinne added quietly. The sniper's fingers drummed once against the table before going still. That's the point. Alara tapped a control, projecting a rotating star map above them. A red arc pulsed outward from Shangxi 3. Drakari jump signatures match previous incursions, she said. Pattern suggests they're staging again. Next likely target, Shangxi 7. A small world flickered into focus. Population, 312,441. Medic Sela exhaled sharply. They won't evacuate in time. They won't try, Reza said. Earth will debate for weeks. Alara's jaw tightened. Sol, she said, play the intercept. A guttural alien transmission filled the chamber. Rhythmic, almost ceremonial. Sol overlaid translation glyphs. The brood gathers for the fourth harvest of the outer spiral. Flesh resilient. Sport acceptable. Corinne's eyes darkened. They're keeping score. Yes, Alara said. And we're still letting them. 3 hours later, she stood before the Terran Colonial Defense Council in Earth orbit. The chamber was vast, circular, filled with projected faces from across human space. Politicians, admirals, corporate magnates. Safe people. Commander Voss, Counselor Harrow began, voice smooth as polished stone. We share your outrage. But launching an unsanctioned strike risks full-scale war. Alara kept her hands clasped behind her back. They've already declared war, she said. You just don't like the word. Murmurs rippled across the chamber. Admiral Chen leaned forward. Our fleet is still recovering from the Epsilon blockade. We cannot afford to provoke a species that outguns us 3-1. They're not targeting fleets, Elara replied. They're targeting farmers. Harrow's expression hardened. We are pursuing diplomatic channels. With predators? Elara asked. A brief silence. We recommend increased monitoring, Chen said carefully. And defensive readiness. By the time you're ready, Elara said, there won't be anyone left to defend. Harrow's image flickered slightly as he shifted. Stand down, Commander. That is an order. The transmission ended. Elara stared at the empty projection space for several seconds before turning on her heel. Back aboard the Vindicator, the crew waited. Well? Reza asked. They're monitoring, she said flatly. Corin snorted. Sela crossed her arms. So that's it? Elara looked at each of them in turn. She did not need to ask if they remembered Shang-Chi 3. Or the others. Each of them carried ghosts. There's an asteroid cluster 2 jumps from Shang-Chi 7, she said. Dense enough to mask our signature. Drakari approach vectors narrow through it. Reza's eyes sharpened. A choke point. We seed gravity mines, spoof distress beacons, scramble their sensors. She continued. We hit fast and disappear. And when Earth disavows us? Sela asked. They already have. Silence hung for a heartbeat. Corin leaned back in his chair. I'm in. Reza nodded. Been waiting years. Sela met Elara's gaze. No civilians in the blast radius? None. Then let's make them bleed. Elara allowed herself the smallest breath of relief. So, she said, plot a course for the asteroid field. Silent running. Acknowledged, the AI replied. Commander, this action will classify you as rogue. I'm aware. The deck vibrated faintly as the ship's drive spooled up. Elara stepped onto the bridge. The viewport darkened as the cloaking field intensified, bending light around the hull. Stars elongated into brilliant threads. She watched them stretch, then snap into the warped shimmer of faster-than-light transit. For a moment, in the distortion, she saw another face, her daughter's. Laughing in a garden dome on Eos colony years ago. Before the sky had turned red. She blinked, and the image was gone. We are exiting jump in 5, Sol announced. The asteroid cluster loomed ahead, vast, tumbling stone and ice drifting like a graveyard frozen in orbit. Elara straightened. Set the traps, she ordered. Outside, the void waited. And somewhere beyond it, the hunters were coming. The Counterstrike drifted like a leviathan through the dark, its hull a patchwork of organic plating and crystalline sensors. Inside the Predator flagship, dim amber lights pulsed with the slow rhythm of its living systems. The hunt was near. Archhunter Zarkale stood atop the observation dais of the sanctum, arms folded behind his back. His breath steamed in the frigid chamber, the walls adorned with trophies, skulls, bones, the preserved heads of prey species encased in translucent resin. Before him, a trio of lesser hunters knelt, their armor marked in blood-red glyphs. The humans grow louder, one hissed. They killed a scout. Crude but effective. Zarkale's mandibles flared. Noise is not strength, he replied. They are soft prey who bark in fear. Let them scream. But they sabotage. They adapt, another offered. A sign of cunning? The archhunter turned slowly, descending the dais. His armor clicked with each movement, silent save for the hum of weapon nodes embedded in his gauntlets. You mistake reaction for strategy, he said. They bleed when cut. They burn when struck. They fall. Like all prey. He stopped before a small pedestal. A hologram flickered above it, a human child's final transmission. Zarkale watched it again. The fear. The whisper. They're hunting us. He leaned closer. Yes. We are. 2 jumps away, hidden inside the icy tendrils of asteroid field Theta 9, the HSS Vindicator coasted in silence. Grav anchors deployed, said Sol. Signature mast? Externally missions nominal. Commander Voss sat in the central chair, eyes fixed on the tactical display. The asteroid field rotated slowly around them, massive rocks spinning in cold choreography. A perfect place to vanish. Ray's voice came through the comms. Mining drones seated. Spoof modules active. They'll think we're a derelict refinery. Good, Elara replied. How long to charge the traps? 6 hours, Sol answered. We can compress to 4 at the cost of redundancy. Do it. I want the net ready before they arrive. Corin floated past the tactical table, checking his weapon's calibration. And what if it's not a vanguard? What if they bring the whole damn hunt? Elara didn't flinch. Then we test the net at full stress. He gave a low whistle. That'll be a hell of a test. Later in the galley, the crew gathered, not for food, but for ritual. It wasn't formal. No uniforms, no speeches. Just 5 people, sitting in the dim red light, sharing silence. Reza broke it first. My brother used to build wind turbines on Shangxi 3, he said. Said you could feel the whole sky move when they turned. I remember those, Corin said. Passed through once. Had a pub with real synth ale. Not the ration junk. Sela spoke without looking up. My aunt was there. Sent me vids of the festival lights. Lanterns like fireflies. Elara stayed quiet. When the silence returned, it was heavier than before. Sol's voice gently interrupted. Incoming signal. Fragments only. Everyone snapped upright. Source? Elara asked. Drakari dialect. Low encryption. Routing through layered channels. Likely ceremonial. Put it through. The transmission crackled to life, guttural, rhythmic, almost like a chant. Sol translated as it played. The brood shall descend upon the spiral flame. The prey has weight. It offers challenge. The hunt begins with honor. The hunt ends in blood. Reza muttered. Lovely poetry. Corin looked at Elara. They're not hiding it. They want us to hear. Because they think it doesn't matter, she said. Fear is a weapon. So is certainty. We're going to break both. Back on the bridge, Elara moved to the sensor console. Sol, run predictive overlays. Match prior hunt entries. I want to know their staging point before they arrive. Working, the AI replied. The holodisplay shifted. Paths unfolded, arcs of red tracing previous engagements, a trail of death across human colonies. They always come in high orbit, Corin said. Like gods descending. That's how they see themselves, Elara answered. Ritual, performance, they don't just kill. They demonstrate. And we interrupt the ceremony? We corrupt it. Reza's voice cut in overcoms. Commander, Perimeter Mine Beta 7 just armed. System check complete. Begin final trap prep, Elara ordered. Full stealth. Corin cracked his knuckles. They'll never see it coming. Meanwhile, aboard the Outrun, Zarkael addressed his fleet. The Huntmasters stood at attention across the command spire, massive creatures armored in ceremonial bone-carved plating. Each bore scars from decades of ritual bloodshed. Zarkael paced slowly before them. Prey must be worthy. That is our creed. The spiral flame flickers, a species that flees, but leaves fire in its wake. He paused, lifting a long claw to activate a hologram of Shangxi 7. It is unguarded. Yet it strikes. Why? No answer. He tapped the image again, data shimmered. Intercepted Drakari casualties. Disrupted fleets. Lost stalkers. They act without structure. Without fleet. Without sanction. And yet they wound. Perhaps they emulate us, one Huntmaster suggested. Zarkael's eyes narrowed. They do not deserve to. He turned to the command pit. Bring the full fleet. Not just the stalkers, the reapers. The ritual demands spectacle. A Huntmaster hesitated. But the prey will learn the price of defiance. Hours passed in silence aboard the Vindicator. The crew waited. Elara stood on the bridge, arms crossed. So? She asked. The AI's tone shifted subtly, colder. Confirmed Drakari warp signatures. 17 vessels. Flagship configuration. Arrival in 3 minutes. No one moved. Activate minefield, Elara ordered. Arming. Signal net? Ready. Elara keyed the comm. All hands brace. This is it. Outside, the asteroids shimmered. Space distorted. One by one, the Drakari ships emerged from warp, massive beasts of living metal and ritual fire. Their arrival tore through the silence like thunder through snow. Elara watched. No signals yet, Corin said. They don't know. Let's keep it that way, she replied. The trap was set. The hunters were here. And they had no idea who was watching in the dark. The first Drakari cruiser shattered in silence, caught in the full fury of a gravity mine disguised as drifting ice. Its hull split in two as artificial singularities twisted its core, imploding decks and pulping its crew into crimson mist. The second vessel panicked, veering off course, right into a mine tethered to a cloaked asteroid. On the bridge of the Vindicator, Elara Voss stood motionless, watching it unfold. 3 down, Sol confirmed. Outer perimeter breached. Remaining vessels scattering. Maintain full cloak, she ordered. Let them think it's environmental. Random chaos. Corin leaned over the targeting console, lips twitching. They didn't see it coming. They never do, Elara said. Until it's too late. The asteroid field was now alive with motion. Fragments of stone spun between predator warships and debris clouds. As the remaining Drakari fleet regrouped, false distress beacons activated, fake human signals spliced into Drakari frequencies. Help! Sector 7 compromised, fire breach. Colonists evacuating Shangxi Station. Hunter teams under assault, request backup. Inside the cauldron, chaos bloomed. Zarkale roared as the deck beneath him tilted. Sparks rained down from exposed conduits. Multiple alerts blinked across the command pit. Speak! He barked. One technician scrambled to his station. No contact with the stalker wing. We've lost the entire outer sphere. How? Unknown. No impact signatures. Debris, yes, but random. Traps. Artificial. Zarkale snarled. You mean sabotage? He turned to the command interface and replayed the last moments of the lost cruiser. Frame by frame, drifting rock, then gravity distortion, then annihilation. Pray don't set snares, he muttered. They run. They scream. He stopped. They've reversed the field. Back aboard the Vindicator, Elara moved to the armory, suited up. Her exorig hissed as it sealed around her body. Sleek black armor built from a fusion of Terran composites and scavenged alien alloys. Power conduits thrummed under her skin. Reza status? She called. The engineer's voice came through with grim focus. Saboteur team is locked and loaded. Ready for deployment. Charges calibrated for bioreactors. Corin joined her, already geared and checking his rifle's grav scope. We slip in quiet, plant the bomb, slip out. If it gets loud. It won't, Elara said. He raised an eyebrow. That confident? No. Just focused. They moved to the drop bay, joined by Sela and Reza. Sol's voice echoed through the chamber. Infiltration trajectory calculated. External thermal masking in effect. Shuttle cloaked. You have a 6-minute window before they recalibrate their scans. Elara looked at her team. We do this fast. We don't break formation. If we're caught. Reza cut her off. We're not coming back. Copy that, Corin said. The shuttle launched. Like a speck of dust in a solar storm, it threaded through drifting metal and heat blooms from burning cruisers. They approached a Drakari command ship, intact, pulsing with eerie organic light. Its hull breathed faintly. Tendrils of biotech swayed from its flanks, anchoring it to an asteroid fragment like a leech. The shuttle latched silently onto the dorsal spine. They breached the hull through an old exhaust duct, crawling inside a vent slick with mucus-like coolant. Remind me why every Drakari ship smells like death, Corinne muttered. It is death, Reza said. It feeds on biomass. Breeds inside the walls. They emerged into a dim corridor. The walls were pulsing veins of alien flesh. Soft footsteps echoed from far off, Drakari crew unseen. Low chanting filled the air, layered in a frequency that vibrated in their chests. We're in a ritual zone, Sela whispered. That's a combat hymn. Elara motioned them forward. No unnecessary talk. No noise. They descended deeper into the ship, bypassing organic security nodes, sliding past motion-sensitive growths. Finally, Reza knelt beside the reactor pod, a pulsing core of heat and light, guarded by a membrane of bone-like plating. 2 minutes, he said, pulling out the detonator kit. The hum of nearby movement stiffened Elara's spine. Corinne took position behind a growth node, scanning the hallway. You've got company, he hissed. Fast movers. Reza didn't pause. 45 seconds. Sela raised her rifle. Ready. A shadow slid across the corridor, then a blur. Tall, armored. A Drakari stalker, cloaked in active camo, stepped into view just as Corinne fired. The shot landed, but not before the stalker's blade tore across Reza's side. He gasped, slumping against the core. No! Sela yelled, opening fire. The hallway erupted in noise. Elara dove in, her blade slicing low. The stalker fell, its helmet splitting open. Black ichor splattered across the floor. Corinne dragged Reza back. He's hit bad. Reza's breaths were shallow. It's armed, he coughed. Just run it. Go. Elara looked at him, then at the countdown timer. 00:14. She nodded. So, she whispered, prepare for rapid evac. They sprinted back through the tunnels, pursued by snarls and growing alarm howls. The Vindicator's shuttle locked onto them just as the cruiser's spine began to shake. From orbit, the Drakari command ship bloomed in silence, folding inward, its biocore rupturing. An instant later, the explosion cracked apart the asteroid it was anchored to, sending shockwaves rippling across the field. On the Vindicator, Reza lay in the medbay, unconscious. Sela hovered over him, eyes red. Corinne sat silent. Elara walked to the bridge. Her armor was scorched, stained. She didn't bother to remove it. Sol spoke without prompting. Enemy fleet in disarray. Internal coordination collapsed. Flagship still active. She stared at the tactical screen. Time to send a message. Aboard the Outrun, Zarkale stood amidst flickering displays and screaming aides. 2 more ships lost. Command structure breached. Chaos gnawed at discipline. Then a signal cut through the noise. A human voice. Elara Vos. I see you now, she said. You're not gods. Not apex predators. Just butchers playing at honor. You want to hunt? Come find me. Zarkale bared his fangs. Where? Elara's voice was quiet, firm. Moon 6, Sector Theta. I'll be waiting. The Hunmaster stepped into the armory. He discarded his ceremonial gear, donning a suit of jet-black armor etched in molten glyphs. No entourage. No witnesses. This was no longer ritual. It was personal. As the shuttle prepped for launch, he whispered one word into his calm. Blood. The shattered moon loomed ahead like the corpse of a forgotten world. Cracked and broken from ancient bombardments, its surface was jagged, covered in needle-like spires of obsidian and ice. Dust hung in a slow drift above the landscape, disturbed only by falling debris from the distant wreckage of Drakari cruisers still burning in low orbit. There was no sound, only the weightless silence of vacuum and the slow pulse of Elara Vos's breathing in her helmet. She stood alone on a plateau of splintered rock, armored and still. Her suit hummed with quiet life. Adaptive exorig linked to her spine. Pulse servos twitching beneath plating scavenged from dead Drakari scouts. On her back, a rail spear, modified for lunar gravity. At her hip, Reza's custom disruptor. And at her chest, tucked into a utility slot, his dog tags. Across the ridge, the enemy arrived. Zarkale descended without fanfare. No warship. No drones. Just him. He landed hard, his boots cracking the moon's surface. His armor glowed faintly with the heat of inner systems, forged from ancient alloys older than Earth's orbit. Scars lined his helmet. One eye shone blood-red. The other, a surgical implant. He stepped forward unhurried. Elara said nothing. Zarkale stopped 20 meters away. "You've killed many of mine. You started this," she said. He tilted his head. "Your kind spreads. Makes noise. And screams when bitten." She drew her blade slowly. "Then let's see who screams today." He charged. No war cry. No warning. Just a blur of movement, fast, heavy, overwhelming. Elara dodged left, rolled across jagged stone, and brought her rail spear up just in time to block a downward strike that sent shockwaves through her arms. She activated the spear's magcore. Sparks burst from the shaft as it flared to life. Zarkale pressed forward with brutal efficiency. Every strike calculated. Every blow designed to crush. Elara danced around him, staying in motion, striking only when she saw an opening. She wasn't stronger. She was faster. Smarter. Human. He landed a glancing hit that tore part of her shoulder plating free. Blood ran down her arm, but she kept moving. She ducked under a swing, slid along the dust, and drove the spear up into his thigh. The weapon pierced through his armor, sizzling. He bellowed, staggered, but didn't fall. "You learn fast," he growled. "But you still bleed." She backed off, breathing hard. "So do you." Zarkale flicked something on his gauntlet. An energy whip snapped from his wrist, crackling with charged plasma. He lashed out. Elara leapt behind a fallen spire of moonrock, barely avoiding the blow as it sliced the stone clean through. "I expected more from your kind," he taunted. "And I expected more from a god," she said. She activated the disruptor, Ray's final design, and lobbed it forward. The small device arced toward Zarkale and detonated midair with a burst of blue static. His armor convulsed. Neural dampeners flared. His left arm seized briefly. Elara closed the distance. She vaulted off a broken ledge and came down with the spear, both hands clenched, driving it into his chest plate. The spear buried halfway in. Zarkale roared and grabbed her by the neck, lifting her off the ground. Her oxygen feed wheezed. "You are a child in a mask," he snarled. "A rat gnawing at lions." "Then maybe," she choked. "It's time the lion learned fear." She pulled a plasma blade from her wrist, jammed it into the side of his exposed jaw, and fired. His grip released instantly. Elara dropped to the ground, coughing, vision swimming. He staggered back, helmet cracked, part of his face exposed, half bone, half burning tech. Still he came. Still she stood. No more tricks. No more weapons. Just them. He threw the first punch. She ducked. Slammed her elbow into his ribs. He responded with a brutal knee that sent her sprawling. She rolled, grabbed a shard of jagged lunar glass, and slashed it across his exposed throat. Blood sprayed into the thin air. He stumbled, breathing ragged. Elara collapsed beside him. Neither moved for a moment. Then, slowly, she stood. He stayed down. She took a shaky step forward and pulled her knife from its sheath. Not to kill, but to plant it into the rock beside him. Zarkale looked up, dazed. "You won't finish it?" "No," she said. "That's your way. Not ours." He bared fangs, blood trailing from his mouth. "You'll regret mercy." "No," Elara said, stepping back. "You'll remember it." Her voice was quiet, final. "We were never yours to hunt." The shuttle arrived minutes later, lifting her off the moon's surface. Inside, Sela helped her sit. Corin stood behind, jaw tight. "He's alive?" he asked. Elara nodded. "Let him crawl back to them." Corin raised a brow. "That's your message?" "No," she said. It's our warning! Days later, footage of the failed hunt spread across human networks. Colonists on Shanxi 7 emerged from shelters. Children stepped into sunlight, not fire. Elara Vaz, branded rogue by the Terran Council, disappeared from official records. Unofficially, she became legend. On the Drakari homeworld, Zarkale returned in silence. His armor scorched. His rank revoked. No Huntmaster had ever failed. He said only one thing to the Council before vanishing into exile. They hunt back. Somewhere far beyond known space, a species long enslaved by the Drakari watched the footage in secret. One of them, small and pale, turned to his kin. He whispered, "Humans fight back." And across the stars, something began to change.